Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone, and welcome. So, I have my coffee here and I put some eggnog in here. And yeah, I just wanted to come to you with the 411 of the crazy energies that are coming in for Christmas, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So, welcome, everybody. Well, we're almost at the end of 2024. We are probably just either running around getting the last minute stuff done. I just have some wrapping to do, um, cleaning of the house, which is a big one, and getting the house all cleaned here, and just doing a lot of contemplation. There's a lot of things that came to me this morning, and I wanted to share with you with what's happening. So let's make sure my volume is up. Make sure you guys can hear me um, with everything. So, good morning. Good morning. One of the biggest things that is happening today on Christmas Eve is this Jupiter square Saturn. Now, it happened in August and it was flipped, meaning that Saturn was retrograde and Jupiter was going forward. This time, Jupiter is retrograde and Saturn is going forward. This is it's a contraction, and that's what it is. So there is a contraction that is happening right now, and if you're trying to find solutions to things, this isn't a time to find solutions because being in this contraction, this is like feeling like this is, it can be overwhelming. It can feel like you are in detriment or just just overwhelmed. It's a time for sitting, contemplating, not trying to rush out and do everything. And that's what you're going to find. A lot of people are going to be rushing out. Oh, last minute, got to do here, got to do there. It's really, there's a lot of course corrections that are happening in today, especially with the moon, with the south node for the very last time in Libra. And we also have the sun coming into an opposition with Mars, which is somewhat of a mutual reception. I mean, where Mars is, Mars would rather, they would rather change places than be where they are, but it is a feeling, this place of like, I want to be exalted. I want to feel that exaltation. And we are entering into a time of what we're going to call divine timing. And this is where, for the last few years, you've been hearing a lot about manifesting, manifesting. I know I was on that thing, and then I just felt it didn't feel right. Like, many manifester um teachers out there telling you, well, this is what you got to do to manifest. You do this to manifest. This is where the divine, it's there's this going around the corner of understanding that divine timing is coming in. And the divine timing is a lot better than perfection, because everybody wants, oh, but I just want it perfect. But the divine timing trumps it. And the frequencies that are coming in is allowing us to hear what the divine is guiding us to do. You may get an inspiration, an idea that comes in, but you might have to sit with it for a while. And you might have to sit for it for a long time, depending on what it is. Sometimes people get ideas and then they just jump on it. And this is what I got to do, instead of taking that time to mull it over. And this is where you find people very Scrooge like, and that's part of this energy that's coming in, especially for Christmas Day, being very Scrooge like. It is where you have to look at, well, what isn't working. Maybe having turkey every is not your thing. Running around, like, you're finally realize, like, okay, running around and buying all these presents all over the damn place, and is not what I want for Christmas. I want to change and maybe switch it up a bit and slow down. And I know many times we say that every year, "Oh, I got to slow down, I got to slow down, look at all." But this is where the frequencies are really coming in to get you to look at the alignments that are not in alignment, the things that are not actually working, and what you are trying to push up and be, this is about the purge. What do you need to purge, right? And checking, these are, checking these things because they're hard facts that are coming in. Hard facts of saying, okay, these things aren't working, but the things that are working, the ones that are in alignment, the true things in your life that are working are in this exaltation, in this illumination. They are the things that are the beauty in your life. The ones that are the false ones are going to be a twinkle, a glimmer, a little light here, and it's just gonna say, "Yeah, that's really what I want," but you'll know deep inside, you'll know that feeling like, "Nah, that isn't my true alignment. That isn't where I want to be." And the desires of intensity are for as we are going into 2025, are really going to be dramatic. And these alignments that are coming in are awakening, these awakening times of getting us to really look at what is not an alignment. And this is where people are going to be coming in desperation. And especially as we are building up towards a new moon in Capricorn. And this new moon, we're going to be entering into the balsamic phase, the darkness of the moon. And this is where it is going to be closing out the last 16 years of Pluto in Capricorn. This new moon is really getting us to look at what has worked, what hasn't worked, and how we are entering into the newness. I really think it's beautiful that at the end of the year that we end with a new moon and that we're entering into the new light of this year. And even though it's going to be a year that is going to be a teachable year, a year that is going to get us to really stand firm in our beliefs, a year that is like really going to test us with our discipline and and have us really look at where are we disciplined and where we are not. You know, this is where a lot of our teachings that we might have put to the side are going to come forward and allow ourselves to come into our truth. And we also have where Venus is slowing down because she is going to go retrograde next year. This is where Mercury's going faster. He's speeding up. He's getting to go. And we want to have, like, oh, I want to move forward. I want to do all of this. But this is where, again, we got to come back into this quiet time, this silence, and look into the divine timing. I remember years ago, I was taking a class in this one, and it kind of bothered me. And she said, well, there's no such thing as divine timing. You have to do it all. And one of the things I had to, and I stepped away from the class after that because I felt you're missing something. Yeah. I mean, when you look at her on surface, she has a beautiful life. She has money, house, the whole bit. But it was one of those things when she said it was like, okay, but you're missing a connection. You're missing a connection with God. You're missing that connection that you have to come into a place of trust. And being Christmas, let me tell you a story. There is a I'll tell you a story. Um, Elizabeth, who is pregnant with John, okay, in the Bible. And she was a woman who was menopausal. She was past menopause, actually. And they always wanted a son. Her husband was a high priest in the Jewish community. And it was his term, like being a high priest, there were times when the priest could go in and light the incense and do the prayers for the people and give alms, right? And it was his time to go. And it was his time to go and light the incense. And there he as he went in to go pray, there was an angel appeared, and it freaked the hell out of him. Like, he was like, "What the hell is here?" Now, this is a guy who's on in years and probably really stuck in his ways kinda thing, and then just thinking like, "Okay, what the heck's going on?" Because I know I haven't been doing anything crazy, but it was the angel Gabriel. Gabriel is the angel of communication. It is the messenger. You hear in many different stories that an angel appears, and it's usually the angel Gabriel that comes down because Gabriel wants to give a message and gave the message and let him know that he was going to have a son and he had to name him John. And John is a meaning, I believe, meaning like messenger or guiding the way, the path, right? And he was like, when he saw that, he kind of questioned. And in questioning it, Gabriel said, "Well, you're not going to speak until the baby's born. That's it." So when he came out, and unable to talk, everybody's because he was in there a little bit longer than usual, and he came out, they knew there was something up. They knew, like, everybody's like, "Okay, what the hell's going on?" Now Ezekiel can't talk, right? And this was, I'm gonna call it a divine timing. It doesn't sound like a divine timing, but it allowed for Ezekiel to take the time to actually listen, right? He got a message, he got the information, and this was a time where he had to just sit and be. And could you imagine? Like, I mean, you can't go to the doctor or anything to see what's wrong because there's nothing wrong. It is the divine timing of coming in. And sometimes the divine timing that comes in doesn't feel like divine timing. It doesn't feel like something that is a good thing. It feels like something that is hard and we question it. But in that in is it was getting him to understand that he was going to have a child who's going to be John the Baptist, eventually, and that this one is going to be the one who opens the doors for Jesus to do the rest of his work. And and that he'd be known by many throughout the world kind of thing. So for him to sit and contemplate it for the next 9 months and to see that and listen to what people had to say, and right down to the time of, because there was no baptism, they had circumcision, and that was it, when you circumcised your child. And in the Jewish tradition, that's the time you would name your son. And usually the firstborn son was going to be named after their father. And his mother said, "No, it's going to be John." And so they said, "Well, if we're going to dismiss you, we got to find out what dad has to say, right?" So he asked for a tablet and he wrote the name John on it, and then he was able to speak. And in that, I feel like it's like, okay, it was, in the divine timing that, okay, finally you trusted me, know that I am telling you that truth. And sometimes we get these guidance that come to us. And this is where we're going back to the astrology is showing us we're going to be given guidance over these, next coming days, weeks, months that we're going to find hard, that we're going to question. We're going to question, why is this happening? Why, and it could be something horrific in our life. And we're going to be like, well, why is all this happening? But it's through that, in taking those where G our divine, our God, our goddess is taking that out of the way in order for us to come into a closer relationship with our divine and coming into a place of spirit to bring forth the truth in the divine timing. And over the next, couple days, we're going to find, some people are going to be grumpy. Some people are not going to be in this alignment. Some people are going to be in a false sense of joy or wanting to create something that, deep down inside it just isn't the truth, or isn't what it is that you, or how you and your family and those around you want to celebrate. And this is a time of looking at, okay, what are the course corrections I want to start doing in my life? What are the directions I want to start making? And begin to start looking at that and bringing them forth into your realm. And yeah, it's there's a lot of weird tension that's out there. There's a lot of, where you're going to have to watch your tongue, and that's part of that, ending of that Pluto and Capricorn, where it's like, well, best I don't say any, and I found myself the last few days, even, at work, many times just watching what I say, watching what I say, just watching, not saying anything, listening. And it is quite, it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting because I'm learning a lot, I'm seeing and learning a lot here. And with that, it's like, okay, I have to trust in the divine timing of how everything is going to lead me to the next thing of what I need to do and where I need to um, step forward. And that might be something in your life too. And you might not know exactly where it's leading you. You might not understand everything that is coming up, but you have to trust in that divine timing that's coming forth and the shamanic energy that's coming in that's giving us the death and rebirth of this all. Interesting times we're in. Definitely interesting times. And there's a huge push to um and here's the thing, there's a huge push that is trying to end Christmas, Yule. And this is where it's like, okay, I got to find that what I know for me and hang on to that so I can hang on to what I want to continue on with, what I want to, where I know my trust and my beliefs are, because we are going to be really tested, especially next year, that in how we celebrate and how we do what we do. And there is a push within the world, within different countries, and little things are coming up that are trying to dismantle structures of beliefs and structures of communities. Like one of the passings, and it wasn't publicized within the budget, or the budget part of the budget thing. um One of the things that a couple of the MPs are coming out is talking about that churches have to pay taxes. Now I know a lot of people are like, yeah, make the churches pay taxes. And it's funny because that's very similar to what King Henry VIII did, where he dismantled all the Catholic churches overnight and just basically got rid of them and said, no, you can't practice this anymore. And taking away the taxes from a lot of churches, a lot of things, is dismantling that and saying, no, you can't practice that, because a lot of them, you know, um, it might seem like they have big budgets, but a lot of what they do for the community, right now, there are churches right now, and because they don't have to pay the heavy taxes and everything else, they're able to refunnel that money in a positive way, where hampers are going out, they're helping. There's a one place that I in here in Calgary, they have, I think every Friday or something, where they have a drop-in coffee time where you can go in and just chat, and there's people there to, if you just want to just chat, right? And different places have opened their halls and stuff to come in from the cold. And when you don't have to pay, because taxes can be heavy, we all know that. But when you don't have to pay those heavy taxes, it's amazing where the money can go. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this is like, that's another when you look deep down into it, that's another way of destructuring belief systems, destructuring society. And it is where what the Chinese communists did to destructure. It's what, we can go back to how this is the only way you need, this is the only church you can believe in. This is the only thing you can believe in. You got to believe in this. This is where the witch hunts happened. You can't do this. You can't do this over here because it's not, it's we don't believe in that, right? It's a destructuring. So this is where when we see a lot of these really contractions that are coming in and a lot of this mutable energy that's coming in, and that's really getting us to look at the structures of our own lives, the structures of our community, the structures of what is happening around it, and what that dismantlement means. If you ever watch, his name is Bald and Bankrupt. He's a YouTuber, and he just went into Syria, and he was in Syria a few years ago, and he talked about like he had to have a special visa and everything else, and he went in and he met up. He knew some, anyways, people, but anyways, the regime in Syria is gone. A new regime is happening. Now, watching him, he's giving you a whole new perspective of what seemed like under the ruling of this person, this is the way he had it structured. Then you find out more of how he had things structured. Um, they were selling legally, they were making a lot of money off of selling drugs and making drugs. And even had it this he even went to where they were making them, right? And how it's all been dismantled. They don't want that, but that's how the regime was making a lot of money and selling these drugs. It's um within within the area and within the Middle East, because it was a rampant drug that a lot of them used. And it's it was amazing, right? So we're seeing these dismantlements of how these restriction, you had to believe this way, you have to do it this way, collapsing. And then we're seeing where, well, we're going to try and hang on to it, but when I look at this energy, it's really getting us to really see that it is dismantling, it is happening, and we have to really look at the contractions that are happening within our life right now that are getting us to really get into ourselves, our beliefs, and really allow us to really take a look at and sometimes not question. Another person that I've been following and listening to, he wrote something when he was 26. He's he's in his 60s now, and he didn't publish it until a few years ago. He started to do lectures and things like that before he published it. And he was told by 3 different publishers, nobody's going to read that. No one's going to buy it. No one's going to listen to this. And so he started doing lectures. And lo and behold, it's a huge thing. And that's the same way with people like Dr. Wayne Dyer, Louise Hayes. They were all told this is stupid. But when you have this within inside you, this contraction, this burningness of saying, no, this is what I know is the truth that needs to come out to help people and to allow them to be able to step into their power and their creativity. And that's where we're at. We're at this place of allowing, and it's trusting in that divine timing, in the divine leading you to where you need to go. So there you go. Okay, I'll pull cards. Oh, they hear Steve in the background. And then I'm going to go back to cleaning my house and doing the laundry. There we go. Yeah, we're not going to like the choices that are going to come in. Here comes the 4 of Cups. We're wanting to have things the way it was. We don't want to change. right? This is the way we did it. This is the way we always did it. But it's time to look at the changes that are coming in and know that it's a hand of God that's coming in that's saying, "Here, this is what we need. This is where you need to go." And it might, yeah, we just don't want to listen. We want to make it logical, right? We want to make it logical. Yeah, I'm off today and tomorrow. We want to make it logical, right? But it's saying that you got to trust because the ego wants to make it logical, right? And what that logic is. Like, this is the way it's supposed to be. This is the way it's supposed to look. This is the way I want society to be. But it's coming in and saying, you know what? No, you got to trust. Because when the queen of I don't give a fuck is upside down, she's saying you got to listen. You got to listen to your intuition. You got to tap into your feelings and into your heart and know that there's a divine timing that's coming in that's going to be leading you. And with that, yeah, it's not going to come quick. This is the Knight of Pentacles. He's slow, he moves, he's methodical in how he's doing it. It's earth, right? We're going to be methodical in how we're doing it. And with a Venus squaring over to Uranus coming up too, this is where it's like, I got to look at this in a new way. I can't rush through this. If I'm rushing through this, if I'm pushing too much and too hard and too fast, it's not going to come together, right? So we have to take that time and be methodical in what we're doing and allow ourselves in staying still. Chiron is at 19 degrees and it's stopped. 19 degrees in Aries is where the sun is exalted. So everything feels curved. Everything feels like we are not getting what it is that we want, right? It's Chiron, right? He is the, one who wants us to learn from things, and he's in Aries. So it's like very frustrating, and he's at a point of exaltation. I mean, where Jupiter is too in Gemini is in from 2004 to 2012 is where Venus was retrograding, and Venus had the eclipse of the sun. So now we have Jupiter going over those points. Like, there's these little key points in astrology that are happening right now that are awakening and then getting us to really look at, oh, these are closing, these doors are opening, but they're not the doors I thought that would open, or I didn't think it would look like that. But I have to trust in my guidance, that intuition, that divineness that is within me, that this is where I need to go. Not everybody's going to like it. Trust me, a lot of backflack, a lot of people are going to get um, upset about it. Um, there's a few things that I had to do a deep dive on figuring out things. And and I just kept getting no's, but in my logically, I was like, "No, I gotta do this." You know, I'm gonna register for this and I'm gonna do it. And I kept on getting, "No, no, you don't. No, that's not going to be, fulfilling for you. It's going to be, it might give you a fleeting of something fleeting, but it's not going to give you the meat and the potatoes in the long term of what it is that you truly are needing and desiring at this time, and leading you to something greater. And you have to trust and have faith that that's where it's going to lead you. But it just feels kind of bumpy and maybe overwhelming. So we have to be quiet and just listen. Ah, that's that's I got a few different eyes here. That's saying something for you guys. And being quiet and listening. So, but anyways, I'm going to send you guys out with so much love. Merry Christmas. Have a great one. I will not be on tomorrow. Tomorrow's Christmas Day. And we're going over to my son's house. And I guess I just found out we're going over to my husband's nephew's house for Christmas dinner kind of thing, and I don't know what time, but probably later on in the evening. So have a blessed one, and may the Lord and the Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you. And I know I said I'd put up the dates for peeking into 2025 and for the vision board for January. So if people are interested, so have a blessed one. Merry Christmas, and we will talk to you after Christmas. Bye bye, everyone.